Habertürk'ten herkese merhaba. Bugün çok özel bir konuğumuz var. Son dönemde sosyal medyada büyük ilgi gören ve Türkiye verdiği sıcak mesajlarla da geniş kitlelere hitap eden ancak bunun da ötesinde Türkiye-Belçika ilişkilerinin geliştirmesinde önemli rol üstlenen bir diplomatla Belçika'nın Ankara Büyükelçisi Sayın Hendrik Velde ile birlikteyiz. Bugün kendisiyle Türkiye-Belçika ekonomik ilişkilerini, Belçika'nın ekonomik misyonunun Türkiye ziyaretinin etkilerini, enerji alanındaki işbirliği fırsatlarını ve tabii ki de Türkiye ile kurduğu kişisel bağı konuşacağız. Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us. We have seen significant momentum in relations between Belgium and Turkey. And how would you describe the current state of Belgium-Turkey relation, and what is the strongest pillar of the relationship today?
You use the right words. There is undoubtedly momentum in that relationship, thanks to this economic mission that was headed by Her Majesty the Queen, but also because of the depth and the size of that mission. So the momentum is there very clearly. We had 400 people, 200 businessmen. So what does that create? New perspectives, a new platform. We know each other. I mean, Belgium and Turkey are old friends in NATO, even before. We have a 200-year-old relationship. We have 300,000 probably Belgians of Turkish origin. So the people-to-people relations are their NATO allies. And we've been here in Ankara since the beginning of the Republic. So the relation was already good. And economically, we are, before the mission even, we were the 8th worldwide investor in Turkey, 5th European trade partner, so it's solid. But it had been a while since we came so numerous, and we kind of rediscovered each other. You know, the Turkish economy has changed a lot. New capacities are here. There are new industries that were not there 15 years ago. The world, of course, has changed. And we had more than 200 business meetings, and we already signed 33 agreements, 4 government agreements. So it's creating momentum, it's creating a platform. And now I feel that already. We are 3 months later now, 2 months later. We already have contacts, new trips. There's going to be a mission from Turkey to Belgium on food security. There's going to be energy companies coming to Turkey next month. A lot is going on. And that's a sign that it's going to be productive and concrete.
And do you believe the relationship is now entering more structured and strategic phase?
Yeah, the decision already to come was strategic. For us, it was a sign of confidence in the Turkish economy, a sign of confidence in the country itself, its people. So that in itself is already strategic. Now, of course, as I just said, we have these more sectoral missions coming, but we also make something more institutional of it to be sure that it's followed up on, that we can help the private sector, help the companies, to thrive on what they're doing. Next year, early next year, we'll have a JETCO, that's government level, but it's very good because the governments are needed for infrastructure project, financing, etc. So we'll do that. It's going to take place at early 2027. We are also now signing different treaties that were promised on food security, on other things. So it's going to be strategic and forward-looking. One of the areas that we are really looking forward to is energy security, sustainable energy security. Logistics, trade routes, logistics, supply chains in the civil economy and as well on the defense industry, of course. And another area will really be the digitalization and life sciences, these 2 pillars a bit of modern economies and modern progress.
Belgium recently brought one of its largest economic missions to Turkey, the largest of 14 years, if I remember correct, with their representatives from business community and the government and trade organizations as well. Looking back at the mission, what would you identify as most significant outcomes so far? And which sectors do you expect to deliver first tangible results?
This mission was not just the biggest one for Belgium in the last 14 years. According to the Turkish Ministry of Trade, this was the biggest economic delegation of any country ever to Turkey. So that shows a bit the Belgian link and the willingness we have to look towards the future, together, as trading partners, as NATO partners. And in fact, according to us, Turkey is actually embedded in the European economy. For us, Turkey is a European economy, and this is how we look at Turkey. And that's also what we want to convey to our European partners. So the strongest sectors, I alluded to them already, as I said, logistics, supply chains and logistics, which is necessary for our strategic autonomy. And again, European strategic autonomy is with Turkey. Turkey is part of that. It's not just a link between Asia and Europe. We see Turkey as being part of Europe's strategic autonomy. Hence our policy and our position, Belgian position, to include Turkey in the SAFE program for defense industries, to include Turkey in the Made in Europe initiative or Industrial Acceleration Act. In fact, we prefer the term Made with Europe. And when it comes to defense industry, we prefer actually the term Made with NATO or Made in NATO, and that says in itself a lot. So indeed, supply chains, logistics, life sciences, energy security and sustainable energy, and defense industries.
So during the Belgian economic mission to Turkey, Belgian Minister Perwoud said that two countries should aim to double bilateral trade from 12 billion to 24 billion euros. He would also underline the need to modernize the EU-Turkey customs union and facilitate mobility for business people. From Belgium's perspective, what concrete steps needed to turn this ambition into reality, and which sectors could become the main drivers of the growth? How do you see Belgium and Turkey reaching this target?
Of course, doubling the trade figures, it's a bit of a symbol. It's not that we agreed that within 3 years we're going to double the trade, but it's the aim, it's the intention. And we are on a good trajectory already. I mean, every year the trade is increasing. Eurostat figures show that we are this year at 13 billion. 13 billion is a lot. We talk about 12 billion in goods and then 1 billion in services. And the services part is growing. We can probably do more. And and you mentioned that, the minister said it, one of the main, I think, accelerators of that growth is going to be the modernization of the customs union. Now, we have been very clear on this, that we want the modernization of the customs union. It's not really happening for the last more than 10 years because of political differences that we have had. But we really are clear that we will work with our European partners to overcome these political differences, because the modernization of the customs union is a no-brainer. It's actually a bit of as an ambassador here, it becomes a bit of an obsession because it's so clear that this is the way we have to go forward. The customs union is from the 90s. It's not fit for purpose for an economy in 2027. We are almost 2027. It doesn't include services, it doesn't include a lot of industrial sectors, it doesn't include food production, it has no real mechanism to arbitrage mechanism or anything. All these things are in any modern trade agreement, and Turkey is the closest partner of the European Union and of Belgium. Outside of the EU, the first partner is Turkey. Of course the UK, but they are Brexited. But this is on par, Norway, UK, Switzerland, Turkey, these are the closest partners we have. And on top of that, Turkey is a partner in NATO as well. But commercially and economically, the closest partner. We have to update that very old-fashioned trade agreement, which is the customs union, to make it fit for purpose, and that will change a lot. This is going to be performative because it means easier trade, new areas that open up. And it happened already in Turkey. At the end of the 90s, the customs union did change a lot for the country. It brought you closer, it modernized the country, and modernizing the customs union is going to have the same effect, I think, in the years to come. It's geostrategic, it's geoeconomic, and we should do that. So that's very clear for us. That will benefit definitely also the Belgian-Turkish trade, which is ultimately what I am paid for to do. And I'm sure that will happen. But it needs efforts. It needs agreement within the European Union, and we know it's not easy, but there is will, and I'm sure we're gonna make that. There are also other factors that can help to increase trade. Of course, it's our own Belgian, Luxembourg, Turkish investment treaty. We can talk about that. There is, and then there's concrete cooperation. You know, and this is what we did with the economic mission. It's when business people know each other, when you know how to talk to, when you know what each country has to offer. Because very often, you know, you don't find anything on the internet or just by looking for it. You have to know people to see what the potential is, to have ideas, to create things together. Because the economy is people working together, and the economy is something physical, of course, the economy. It's goods and services, but it's people having ideas. And I start to see that already. I heard that there is going to be in autumn a joint venture between two, a Belgian and a Turkish logistics, defense industry logistics company, for instance. You know, this is thanks to people meeting. You know, they see an opportunity, they know each other, they trust each other, and they start doing something. This increases business, increases trade, exchanges. This is how we will make it. But again, the legal framework of the trade, the customs union is going to be essential. It's a no-brainer. Let's do that.
And like you mentioned, Minister Pervert also said that it is time to update the Belgium, Luxembourgish and Turkish investment agreement, which was signed up to 1986, if I remember correct, and announced that Belgium will launch an initiative to facilitate this process. With the update, what changes make the greatest difference for Belgium and Turkish investors?
Well, these bilateral investment agreements, I mean, most European countries and other countries have that with Turkey. And it's important because, of course, it makes daily business predictable, transparent, you know, and it creates confidence if you have the right legal framework. You mentioned the date of 1986. A lot has changed. Digital economy, a lot of other services, the world around has changed. The legal practices have changed. Also, the way of the international, usually courts that are settled, that are created through these investment agreements, the practice has changed a lot. So all small legal things, technical, that are very important to create that confidence, so that it will help. But you have to place that in a general framework whereby, you know, a lot of that type of agreements, investment or aviation agreement, they all stem back from the 80s, 70s, 60s sometimes. So we are now in a phase, other European countries too, of updating them. So this is good news for Belgium, Turkey, Belgium, Luxembourg, Turkey, because it's important to mention that Belgium and Luxembourg have an economic union. Even before the European Union existed, we had that, and now it's still there. It goes a bit further even than the Eurozone and everything. So any investment treaty, we do that together. So it will help. And the other thing we are updating now, and I hope that by the end of the year we might succeed, is an update of the aviation agreement. It's very important, you know, the Turkish companies and we have, of course, we are also a hub in Europe, and we are the capital of the institutions, and all this is very important. We hope to update that as well. We were about to succeed around May, June, but there were some technical differences that we have to bridge. Probably this year we might have also an aviation agreement. So these things are very important. You can have a strategy, you can have companies meeting, but if the governments have to do also their work to create the right settings to facilitate everything. So we're doing that, and all this is part of the momentum we talked about at the beginning of our encounter.
And Turkey and Belgium are both NATO allies, but their geographical positions mean that they face different security challenges. Following the NATO summit in Ankara, the focus has increasingly shifted from setting defense targets to building capacities and expanding defense production and resilience. Could this cooperation become more visible in areas such as defense production or cybersecurity? And what role Turkey and Belgium play together in this new phase of NATO?
Yeah, there's a new phase and a lot has changed already. Our Minister of Defense came 3 times to Turkey. He visited Turkey 3 times in less than 1 year. I think he's probably the Minister of Defense who came the most often to Turkey the last period. clearly with a strong interest in the Turkish defense industries, but also in general the role and the reliability of Turkey within NATO. We consider Turkey as a major NATO partner. We are an ally. It's very clear. It's since 1952. This is saying something. The international environment has changed. You said that we have different security challenges. Not really, of course, there are differences at the borders and so on, but as allies within the NATO, we stand together for the same challenges. And we are very pleased with Turkey's reliability and also the position of Turkey in the war, the war of Russia against Ukraine. Turkey is very clear on the territorial integrity of Ukraine. It's a reliable partner. The role that Turkey played for the navigation of the Bosphorus, for the grain deal, etc. It's very constructive, very responsible position. And we consider Turkey as the second army within NATO. And also, if we build a European pillar, Turkey is very clear that it's standing with us in that European pillar within NATO. So major partners. Defense industry, a lot is going on. We had several defense missions. I hear now a lot of contacts going on. I was saying also this possible joint venture between two companies in the logistics area. Belgium is making a major effort in re-equipping our army. The last 20 years we've done much less, not enough. The threats have changed. We are increasing a lot our capacities. Our minister increased the budget to more than 2%. We are buying batteries, we're buying air defense systems, we're buying frigates, and in each of these purchases and market study that we are doing, Turkey is on par and is considered as any other European partner. And in fact, there are discussions going on for many several possibilities of equipment.
So energy security has become a strategic priority as geopolitical tensions continue to affect the global markets and critical supply chains. How can Belgium and Turkey work more closely together to strengthen the energy supply security and build more resilient energy systems?
There, I think Turkey has a very special position that's geographical. I mean, you are basically at the center of the Eurasian world, so we see that all the corridors and energy corridors come through there. We are more at, we are another hub at the end of Eurasia, Western Europe but we also import a lot of LNG from the other side of the Atlantic. So we both have strategic positions and a lot of expertise in logistics management, and this is actually high technology nowadays, logistics management. And for Belgium, I think we have an edge on certain sustainable energy sectors. So we have specialization in LNG terminals. We have an edge on hydrogen transport. We have very strong expertise on wind energy. We had great contacts with the wind energy sector here in Turkey prior to the mission and during the economic mission. We are, of course, following up the tenders that will take place I think in the Aegean Sea and in the Black Sea. Belgian technology is really state of the art. And I know Turkish partners are interested in incorporating on these very technologies.
Other than the economic issues, I have to ask you about something that everyone in Turkey has been talking about. Who do you think won the Editörü challenge, you or Ambassador Dumont? And how did that moment came about?
Well, usually I cannot be participant and judge at the same time, so I let the decision to the public. But officially, of course, we are diplomats, so we agreed that it's friendship and that won. And how that came about, it's actually it stems back from the economic mission. We had a huge reception at my residence at the end of the economic mission here in Ankara. And there were a lot of journalists because of the interest of the economic mission. And at the end of the reception, there was the Erik Daly, and we had worked a lot. We started dancing a bit amongst the team, and we forgot that all the press was there. So it went all on all the channels, and it became a bit famous. And the French said, okay, fine. On the 14 juillet, on our national day, you will come and we will dance together. This is how it all started. But Isabelle Dumont is a very good friend, so we took it with a lot of fun, and it was a lot of fun. It was very fun.
And you have become quite popular in Turkey through your social media messages and your willingness to participate in Turkish culture. Has there been a reaction from public that particularly surprised you or touched you? And I know it's early, but when your assignment in Turkey comes to eventually to an end, what do you think that you will miss the most?
Well, the answer is a bit in your question, I think, because what surprised me the most, I was taken aback by the warmth and the reaction of the public to that. But it's probably also it feels so welcoming and so kind that people could actually see that I like also the culture and the country. Turkey çok seviyorum, actually. I love the country, and maybe the fact that you dance it and that you is a proof of that, and it's a sign, and that was really heartwarming. I don't want to speak for the next 2 years when I'm gonna leave, because that makes me sad. So I will definitely miss it. But I have 2 years. I will live it to the fullest, because this is one of the diplomatic assignments, or the diplomatic assignment I've preferred so far. I feel best in. I even the first year I was very busy. I didn't start to learn Turkish. Now I did. Türkçe öğrenmeye başladım. Few hours a week. I try to speak a bit every week. Tell a story in my own words in Turkish, and it's a very beautiful language as well. And what is very nice is that you think that sometimes you have to learn things in life when you're young, and that's true. You can learn easily languages and other cultures. You travel in. I'm a bit less young now, a bit older, and I didn't expect that you can discover and love something again so strongly. It's the pleasure of learning something new, a new language, and Turkish is a very different language from most of the European languages. So intellectually, it's also very rewarding. But more than that, starting to understand the language makes you understand the people, the culture, how you feel, how you see things, how you express your ideas. And that for me is a great time. And I also hope that it helps me in my job. When you like something, when you like a people, when you understand the people and their language, even though you don't learn it when you're 25, but you do it when you're 50 something, I think it's a great adventure.
And also, could you tell us, other than the work, how is your day in one day in Ankara?
Other than the work, I've said that already a bit, I think, to another journalist that asked me this very question about Ankara, because my daily life is in Ankara. I think it's a very pleasant city. It's a very pleasant city because there is a great cultural offer. The people who live here are quite highly educated. You can learn so much from everybody, and there is drive in the city. There is purpose. There's purpose in the country, of course, in the whole of Turkey. Turkey is a country that knows what it wants and where it goes to. But you feel that especially here in the capital, there is sense of purpose, and you get up in the morning and you know that you're going to learn and you're going to do something with purpose that's interesting. And that I love. Plus, I love the Anatolian atmosphere, the landscapes, the hills. And in Ankara, you find everything. You find everything that you find in the rest of Turkey, because everybody came from the country to Ankara. So you find everything here, which makes the daily life really lovable.
Thank you so much for welcoming us here and answering these questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.